Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 4th of December. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is theoretically in our theoretical mid-move consolidation bull flag. It's a sideways shuffle, one can call it, above a rising 50-day line, which tends to be a very good signal, especially when combined with the RSI being above the neutral 50 level. So, in fact, this should be a setup to the top of the channel there at 10,000 and could be something that happens by the end of this month. So, it's a punchy call, but it's a punchy time of year. On the downside, the floor of the channel at 9,500 is the worst we're expecting. And as you can see, on the way all the way up, basically since May, we've had either touches or sort of slight touches or brief touches at that 50-day line. So if there was a touch of that at the moment, it'd be towards 95, 70 or 80. Moving along to the situation at the DAX, and this hasn't been quite as exciting as the FTSE, but is making an effort now with the push towards the 50-day moving average. That's rising at just under 24,000. We've got a near-term target, 24,200, at that October resistance line, which is slightly above the peaks there, so a little bit lower than that. 24,200, and we're looking for that, but while we're above the 200-day line, 23,500. Pushing of the RSI through the neutral 50 level is also positive, so that means we're looking for that 24,200 in coming days, although obviously this market is very, very slow. The Dow is next, and here the picture is that of a market which has broken out of its little range that we've had recently, so above 47,800. We're looking for the top of the channel there, that February resistance line, up towards 49,000 by the end of the month, and probably looking for a bit more than that, but let's just go for that at this stage. Clear RSI 50 plus rebound there, so hopefully that will do the trick for this market. Moving along to the cryptos, and here, obviously, very painful if you're a Bitcoin treasury company, but maybe things are getting a little bit better now with the Bitcoin hitting that October resistance line there around 93,000. The peak today, actually, 94,000. Want an end of day close above that line to take us up to the 50-day moving average at 100,000, hopefully later this month, maybe in the next week or two. On the downside, that uptrend line, the red one there at 88,000, it will hopefully be support on any rug pull that we have in the meantime. Moving on to Ethereum, and to here it was all about the 8,000 level, and the 3,000 level. Maybe I managed to break that line there from October, heading towards hopefully the 50 and 200-day moving average area at 3,500 over the next week or two, helped by the break, a long-awaited, convincing break of that July resistance line there in the RSI window. That can be something of a sort of dam busting type of move for a market, and so far we've had a couple of 100 points out of it, so not too bad. Next on the list is gold, and here we're looking for 4,600, or we were looking for 4,600, maybe by the end of the year. That looks slightly less possible now, given that we've got a bit of resistance here in the sort of the upper 4,200s. Like to stay above that broken October line if we can, so that's around 4,150, and especially above the 50-day moving average at 40.58. In fact, if you're not in gold and looking for a dip to buy into, that would be a target there towards the 50-day line would be the thing to go for. But looking for 4,600, maybe obviously not necessarily the end of this month, but maybe by the end of next month if we stay above that 50-day line. Moving on to the stocks, and Eco Atlantic, I think I'm probably one of the few people in the country who actually look at this in a positive way, or actually look at it at all. Here we've got the shares gapping through the 200-day moving average, which is nice for the first time, and basically above the 200-day line at 8.4 pence, looking at the top of the range at 12 pence, hopefully by the end of this month. 50-day moving average is also rising, so that is a help after the bear trap that we had earlier in this month, below 7 pence. Next up is Fragrant Prosperity. Very keen on this one. I'm not quite sure why, but here you can see that, as there's no news, but you can see that we are just breaking above a rising 200-day line. Tends to be a good signal, and still looking for 1.1 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of this month, while we're above the 50-day moving average at 0.7 pence. We've also got that broken resistance line there at 0.75, so if we can stay above that, it would be very good indeed. RSI also in the upper 50s now, so that should suggest the shares are on their way, and maybe somebody knows something as well, which sometimes they do in the stock market. Here you can see that Genincode has followed up yesterday's gap to the upside on decent news with another gap to the upside. Did mention yesterday that we had a bear trap island reversal, one of the strongest setups you can have, and so far the shares have delivered on that. The only obstacle at the moment is that resistance line there from last year, around 4.6 pence above that, looking for 7 pence. Perhaps now by the end of this month at the earliest, but the key here is to stay above 3 pence and that 50-day moving average. Another shell company on the move is GS Chain, and here we're up 13%. We're approaching my 0.83 pence target, which would be very nice to get that by the end of this month. Above that, though, hopefully there's not much in the way of resistance until we get to a penny and a half. So GS Chain above the 200-day line looking very good, above the old peak there from May 0.65 looking particularly good at the moment. We've also gapped up high after a bear trap. We gapped up and above a rising 50-day line as well. So that was a good setup. On to Hot Rocks, which are, from my memory, just acquired 500,000 shares in WeShop, which hopefully now will start moving, even though there is a bit of a disconnect between the price in London and the price in London of WeCap and the price in America WeShop in terms of what the see-through value should be. But obviously London's always like that. So we've got a rising trend channel here on Hot Rocks, top of the channel there, heading for 3 pence. We're hoping for that by the end of next month, while we remain above the rising 50 and 200-day moving averages. So maybe that's going to get some appreciation. Renewed appreciation of Hamak's strategy with the break of the falling wedge, which has been in place since July. We've got a resistance line there around current level, so 1.45. Above that, looking basically for the main October resistance at 2 pence, and hoping for that by the end of this month as a best case scenario target. While we're above, I suppose, the 1.3 pence area, which was resistance on the way down. Mirriad is next, and we've got a situation here where the market is once again having a go at giving this stock a bit of love. We've got a major resistance line there at current level, so 0.011. Above that, looking for, I suppose, 0.014 or 0.015 by the end of this month. But obviously, the shares tend to just be sold into any strength on a sort of one-day wonder basis, as you can see there in September and back in July. So let's see if this time is different. We've got Medpal next, and here it looks as though after the slide that we've had since the IPO, a bit of positive action here. Bullish divergence, so lower lows for December, but higher RSI trace, and gapping through that resistance line, basically that wedge there, above 6.5 pence, looking for 9 pence here. Hopefully some of the good news will start to filter through to the market in terms of appreciation. Next is Shearwater, which after many years of trying, looks like it finally hit the big time in terms of orders, etc., especially today's RNS. Rising trend channel there from back in March, April. Floor of the channel there around 43 pence, best case 75 pence, I suppose, on a 2 to 3 month view. And the initial thing to happen here is that we need an end of day close above the 200-day line at 48 pence. Moving on to Sulnox from the Aquis market, the growth company, etc. Here we've got shares rapidly approaching the initial target there at 80, well now 80 pence, and above that looking for £1.10 as soon as the end of next month. And the way things are going, even by the end of this month, given that we've had an RSI 50 plus rebound and a gap closed by signal today as well. So looks as though the bulls in charge there. Speaking of bulls, but not too many from or at tap in the recent past. There's always some pesky seller near to 3 pence, and I suppose what we're seeing now is the shares will go up to 3 pence, and then that pesky seller will come back again. But at least we are above the 200-day line at 1.75 pence, and above that looking for 3 pence one more time. Next up is Westmount Energy, which is fast approaching the target there that we had at 3.4 pence, and we're looking at that while we're on the right side of the basically the latest support there at 2.5, so above 2.5, looking for 3.4 pence on Westmount. I suppose if you're a fan of the shares looking for greater glories, then it would be along the lines that I'm literally drawing at the moment. So I suppose the upper parallel there heading for 5.5 pence, and maybe that could be an end of January target too. Finishing off with Zenith Energy, where we have one of our favorite setups, which is an RSI 50 plus rebound, which we've just had, and also the way that the shares are now, or have now found support above a rising 50-day moving average. We had a little gap down from a previous target there around 4.1 pence, but hopefully it'll be second time lucky with the shares while they're above the 50-day line, and we've got a target there as high as 6.4 pence by the end of this month. Not sure what will do that, but the setup is there now. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.